What's going on, everybody? Sancus here, and today we're going back to basics, and today I want to talk to you briefly a little bit about some of the routing functions here within FL Studio, and basically what it does and how you can use it. So, essentially the channel effects mixer here is a place where you can send your individual sounds, basically anything that makes a noise, into to add effects. So, stuff like EQing, flanges, chorus, compression, things like that. Reverb, things of that nature, basically. So, basically, you have this mixer with 99 inserts here, and a few more here known as sends, to send your sounds in. And you can send more than one sound into one channel. You can have everything going into one channel. And, of course, you can send more than one channel into these inserts at once as well. So, to send one channel in, there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. The first method is by using the function up here, the track function. By default, most tracks will be sent into the master. You can see if it's sent into the master if there's no number over here in the upper right hand corner. So by bringing up the number here, you will see that it starts to highlight the inserts, and that means that it is already going into that insert. So now it's in insert 9. Now it's in insert 9. It was an insert 10, now it's an insert 9, excuse me. So track up here corresponds to the insert number over here. So notice how when we do this, it doesn't change the color or the name according to what we have here. So you may notice that as well on FL Studio. Some of the newer versions have this update here where you can also do it from the pattern sequencer, which is pretty nice. It's basically the same exact thing. But again, notice how it doesn't change the name or color it. So there's a couple of different ways that we can send it in where it will color it and name it. One of the ways is by just making sure that it is selected here and going to your track, and you can either go to channel routing and route to this track only, or send the selected channel to this track. And notice how we have the keyboard shortcut for that over here. So you can also press Ctrl and L to do that. So just go ahead and highlight the track you want to send it to, hold Ctrl and L, and there it goes. So again, by default, wherever you send it to, that is going to go into the master. We can also send more than one track in here, especially at once. So to do that, just make sure that your track is, or the number of tracks that you want to send in are highlighted. So if we just put in a whole bunch of these in here, and let's say for example we only want to send the first 3 in here, what you can do is either just hold down with your mouse and just drag down and select them like that, or you can just press hold down Control Shift and then click and select multiple tracks like that. With these tracks selected, go into the channel mixer and choose where you want them to start going in. And so basically, if you go into 16 and you send multiples into this, it's going to start from 16 and go from left to right. So again, 2 ways that we can do this. We can go into channel routing, right click and go to channel routing here, and select route, select the channel to this track. That's only going to send the selected channels that you have into one track. So if you have all of these, they're all going to go into this track now, right? So even this one is going to be in that track. As you can see, they're all in 16. If we do that again, channel routing, and go to the bottom option, it's going to say from this track. That is going to make sure that they all go into the next track and all have their individual tracks. And notice how that recolors and renames the tracks as well. So I think that's the handier way to do it, because you won't have to name it manually if you've already named it in here. And it just basically makes life a lot easier. So for that, with multiple tracks selected, again with the keyboard shortcut, go ahead and select the track you want to start sending it into. With Control and L, it will send all into that track. If you add Shift into the mix and hold Shift, Control and L, it will send them all into separate tracks. So channel routing within the effects mixer is pretty cool as well. It's a nice little feature of FL Studio, and I'm going to briefly cover some of the things that you can do with it. So once again, by default, these channels will all go into the master. We can do a couple of different things. We can send all these channels into another channel before it goes into the master, or we can send it into another channel while it also goes into the master. So notice how we have these little triangles down here. If we just highlight one of these and press one of these triangles, you'll see that this kind of wire thing has appeared over here, and that this knob is now suddenly highlighted with green. That means we are now going to hear the sound go into this channel as well as the master. And that will basically double the volume that we have, because we will have two of the same sound, unless you kind of decrease this part over here. You can also, once again with this track highlighted and looking at the routing, you can also see that the green knob over here, well, the green outline, basically means how much it is sent into this channel. So note what happens if we just we're going to remove the routing to the master actually, so we can hear this better. Note what happens when we turn this down. Going to hear less of it. So you can kind of do a thing where you send multiples into one insert, so we can send this in here as well, and we can blend them with different amounts so they won't all come in with the same amount. But again, these are all going into the master as well. So how you can select multiple tracks and send them all into one channel is pretty easy. With Control and Shift selected, you can select multiple tracks, and while holding this down, you can just click over here and it will send all of these tracks into that track. So again, you can do this, and it will send it into that track. If you hold Control while you do that, it will replace the insert. If you don't hold Control, it will just add another routing. So again, if we routed all this and now we hold Control while we do this, it's actually going to send it in with and replace all these other routings. Again, all of these are going to be affected by this. Everything that's highlighted is now routed into this. So again, if we just select all of these with Control, Shift, and clicking, and if we hold Control and Shift still and click, now we're going to do the same thing where it's going to remove the routing, but we're not actually going to have any percentage of the insert of the input. So now we have to again turn this up in order to be able to hear it. So yeah, that's known as sidechaining. Basically what it comes down to is these four options that we have here. Again, if we just select one and click on one of these, this time we're going to right click. You're going to see that we have these four different options, and these two different sets of options, the difference between route to this track and sidechain to this track is again the amount that we have it sent in over here. So if we just select route to this track, it will have the amount turned up and it will actually be sending audio into this track. If we use sidechain, we're not going to be sending audio, but it will still receive a signal. This is useful for sidechaining if you want to duck the sound that's coming through here by the shape and volume of this sound. You can add a limiter, and with the sidechain routing engaged under the compressor in the sidechain options here, we're going to be able to select that track, and once you have audio going through this, you'll be able to do sidechaining. That's a subject for another video, so I'm not really going to cover that, but that's basically what that is useful for. So again, this can be done with multiple different tracks, and there's some useful ways that you can use this. Yeah, so that's basically the channel mixer and some of the basics of the routing system and some of the basic shortcuts. So just to kind of do a quick recap, you can send these different channels in. The best kind of option that I find is by using the keyboard shortcuts. Just select whatever you want to send in. To send them into one track, Control L. To send them into multiples, Control Shift and L. To select multiple set channel inserts, just again Control and Shift, and this time clicking. To send it into multiple channels, just go ahead and click to send it into just one channel and replace all other routings, including the master. Hold Control and click. To sidechain it to this track, hold Control Shift and click, and that is basically that. So yeah, that's the routing system in the effects mixer. If that was a little bit much for you, then I encourage you to just kind of play around with it if you're new to FL Studio, and just, you know, mess with it for yourself, and sometimes hands-on experience is the best kind of teacher. So that's basically that. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any questions regarding the subject, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And as usual, with that being said, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Peace!